And so Jesus set his face like a flint to Jerusalem in order for that to take place. It means he wouldn't be put off. Nothing would turn him away. Nothing would make him change his mind. Once he set on that journey, nothing was going to divert him from it. It was the purpose which he came to the earth. Luke chapter 9, verse 51, it says, "It came to pass when the time had come for him to be received up, that he steadfastly set his face to go to Jerusalem." Set his face like a flint to go to Jerusalem. Wasn't going to be put off. Wouldn't even be put off by his friends. Matthew chapter 16, verse 21, "From that time Jesus began to show his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders and chief priests and scribes and be killed and raised the third day. Then Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him, saying, 'Far be it from you, Lord, this shall not happen to you.' But he turned and said to Peter, 'Get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me, for you are mindful of the things of God. For you are not mindful of the things of God, but the things of men.'" Strange saying there. Why did she say to Peter, his leading apostle, "Get behind me, Satan"? Because at that point, Peter was saying, "No, don't go to Jerusalem. Don't suffer. That shouldn't happen to you." And Jesus said, "No, it must happen to me." Nothing would divert him from it. Not his friends, nor his enemies. You have a number of times in the Gospels where his enemies tried to put him to death. For example, at Nazareth, when he preached in Luke chapter 4, in the synagogue in Nazareth. And it says that all those in the synagogue, when they heard these things, were filled with wrath. And they rose up and thrust him out of the city, and they led him to the brow of the hill on which their city was built, that they might throw him down over the cliff. Then passing through the midst of them, he went his way. Wasn't going to be killed in Nazareth, but in Jerusalem. And then in Jerusalem, when he was disputing with the Jewish religious leaders, he said to them, "Most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am," taking upon himself the name of God. And it says, "Then they took up stones to throw at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by." Any attempt to kill Jesus before Passover, that time, before outside of Jerusalem, or by any other method than crucifixion, was going to fail. But once it was the right time in Jerusalem, at the time of Passover, everything fell into place, and Jesus went to the cross willingly to bear the sins of the world. He set his face like a flint. Even his own feelings he didn't allow to stop him. Read in Matthew, chapter 22, then Jesus, I think chapter 26 actually, then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, said to the disciples, "Sit here while I go and pray over there." And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and he began to be exceedingly sorrowful and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me." Went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, "O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping and said to Peter, "What, could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again, a second time he went away and prayed, "O my Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done." Jesus didn't feel like going to the cross. Not only did he not relish the physical pain, but he didn't relish the separation which was going to come between him and the Father. He said, "If it's possible, if there's any other way I can do this, let it be." But he knew that there was no other way. And so he committed himself, he submitted to the will of the Father. "If this cup cannot pass away unless I drink it, your will be done." And that's the commitment of Jesus. Nothing could separate him, nothing could stop him from doing what he'd come to do. He set his face like a flint to go to Jerusalem. Nothing would divert him from this purpose.